Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The Malian Armed Forces have now taken full control of the Intahaka gold mine in Gao. Ladies and gentlemen, Gao is a very beautiful city with a lot of great people. Now, this is just the headline that the Malian Armed Forces, aka the FAMA, have now taken over the Interhaka gold mine. But there is no smoke without fire. You can't just see that type of headline. They've taken over. So since they've taken over, what has been happening in that Interhaka gold mine before now? Interhaka gold mine used to be a gold mine that is being filled with illegal gold miners. I don't know how long they've been mining illegally, but whenever they mine this, I don't think there is any taxation or anything. Who do they pay their taxes to? For protection and all of that. They pay to the jihadists. They pay to the French mercenaries, the JNIM, the Islamic State in the Sahel province. And according to what we heard, they said covertly, they always pay to, from the information we heard from secret sources, that some of those people pay to the Gatia militias. Okay? You know, yeah, people cannot just be too pure to an extent sometimes. Okay? So, recently we had some information. Now, because they paid to the Gatia militia, I think there was some, understanding that they all had. Now, the Gatia militia is a Tuareg pro-government militia, okay? They love the Malians. They love the Malian government. They love what is going on in Mali. They appreciate it. And they want to fight on behalf of the Malian regime, okay? Now, anything the Malian state does not want, the Gatia militia don't want it. But, according to the information we had, this is part of the deals, okay, that happens covertly. So, recently, they had a misunderstanding, okay, with the JNIM. So, yesterday, before now, the Malian government has actually told all the illegal miners, they give them a month ultimatum for everybody to evacuate the Intahaka gold mine. Finally, the Malian aircraft started hovering around, constant patrol, surveillance and all of that. So the last time they actually saw the Malian drone, and according to the intel we received, which we posted on this platform, we saw some fighter jets, right? I think the Sukhoi class or thereabouts of the Malian Armed Forces, moving around. We saw about 2 of them. And that was the day where a lot of these illegal miners actually left, this Intahaka gold mine. After leaving the Intahaka gold mine, definitely the jihadists were not going to be getting their taxes and, So we now heard that there was some little misunderstanding. And yesterday, which was Friday, a battle happened between the Gatia pro-government militia and the JNIM. This battle lasted for several minutes. According to report, they said the battle was over 30 minutes. Fierce, intense exchange, right? Now, the Gatia came out on top, right? But they didn't come out on top without, some losses. Now, the JNIM now posted on their official platform that they had a battle with the Gatia militia, and they declared that they actually, recorded some, trophies, and they actually posted that they were able to neutralize 3 of the Gatia militia. They captured a PKM rifle, AK-47, 1 RPG, and all of that, you know, and motorcycles. So they posted it on their platform, right? So today, the 15th, this Saturday, the farmers of Mali and the Russian African Corps actually invaded the whole place. You know, they didn't just, and immediately the enemy got intel, right? Because, you know, these days, intels are very, very delicate, okay? They got intel that, look, the farmers are coming, and they are coming with full guns are blazing, okay? Everybody evacuated the whole place. You know, when you hear about the JNIM and all of that, you would think that those people are so vicious that if they hear that the farmers are coming, they are going to wait. Everybody left, okay? Now, let me tell you what their sponsors now started propagating with their media. We got receipt, but before then, let us bring you the propaganda they are spreading that is going viral like crazy. But you know our job. A lot of people are not happy that I'm back today, but Andre is back. Back like I never left. Let's go. So, according to French media sources, they said the Russian machineries, African Corps, were spotted in the Intahaka mine, okay, in the Gao region this Saturday, November 15, 2025, instead of securing the capital, Bamako. So you should know that Bamako was a distraction. Remember, the Malian minister said that, again, they said the objective was not to capture Bamako. Now, listen, this is all a plot, but we will discover and uncover it. They said instead of securing the capital, Bamako, Bamako was a decoy. The threat of, oh, we are going to, was a decoy. Targeted by JNIM and also resolving fuel crisis, they prefer to protect the gold mine. You don't have the capability and the capacity, whatever funding whatsoever, to even invade. You cannot try it. Nobody, the capital, you can't do it. Let them even bring foreign force, they can't do it. Bamako is a different kettle of boiling water completely. Okay, so their objective is to distract by putting pressure on the outskirts, right, of the neighboring village that are around Bamako. Then what they wanted to do was, now everybody will focus attention. They can start doing other things in different regions like this Gao, right? So definitely you should know that even the people that were evacuated from this Intahaka gold mine, they will still be against the regime too, because somehow, some way, their livelihood has been, you know, taken out. I don't know if it's their means of livelihood, but what they were doing was illegal. So that was not even a credible, or, you know, that was not a reasonable means of livelihood, because what you were doing was illegal, okay? But let's go forward, okay? Now, they gave the image of the African Corps there, but what they did not show you was the farmers of Mali moving in. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to show you the video. Now, these are the image of the African Corps, but permit me to show you the farmers of Mali moving in. According to an anonymous source, we got an information. They said the African Corps with the farmers of Mali continue to take position at the Interhaka gold mine site after the Gatia militia called in from the north. Hence, the farmers and the African Corps kicked out all illegal miners. This operation aimed to stop miners, listen, miners from paying taxes to JNIM, Islamic State in Sahel province, and the local Gatia militia. Anonymous source information, right? And I got this information from a guy known as Brandt on X. You know, he brings a lot of, you know, I pick out the ones that, you know, they cannot deny this obvious truth. That's why they are bringing it out. So I just picked it. So how does the foreigners, how do they know that these illegal miners were paying taxes to both the JNIM, which are the French-sponsored machineries, You know, they pay taxes to the IS in Sahel province, which possibly could be representing, you know who, the elder brothers of France, and also the Gatia pro-government militia. I don't know, maybe that was just like, okay, we don't want no smoke, just keep quiet, let us do our thing. I think that was why they were doing it. Now the government has come to put an end to it. Okay, and that is how they will continue to put an end to all crimes inside Mali. So if you seeing that propaganda that, oh, they are supposed to be guarding this and that, and they are here to guard this and that, they are just trying to form a narrative to make the people feel like, oh, you know, the presence of Russia in Mali and all of that. But ladies and gentlemen, the truth is, it's not just the Russians that came. In fact, the greater number of troops you have there are the farmers of Mali. Okay? You can't just put foreign forces in a critical, strategic position like that. The farmers of Mali were the main people that dislodged everything there. So the Russian just came to support, okay? In their own capacity. You know, perimeter discretion is advised. It is because they've now chased the machineries of you know who out of the place. Now you can see that they're trying to spread propaganda. They won't dare to mention the farmers of Mali because the whole narrative will not make sense. Okay, that was why you see that they only pictured the African core and they tried to make it look like, oh, the Russians are here because of minerals and all of that. You know the story. We'll continue to bring it out. The more they hide it, we'll continue to bring it out. That is our job here. So now let's move forward, okay? Earlier this morning, around 4 a.m., the JNIM attacked the western part of Nigeria. Precisely is a town called Woro in Kwara State. But you know what? The first time they attacked the Nigeria, they were successful. They fought one soldier. This time around, they were neutralized massively. They were cleaned out. And the information is out there. You can see that the place is heavily militarized by the Nigerian Armed Forces. Okay? Now, the fact that Nigerians, now listen to me, the fact that you started seeing JNIM in Kwara State or in whatever part of Nigeria, it is not because of the escalation in the Sahel. Listen and listen good. It is because they are sponsors, because these are machineries of France. Their sponsors have started having strategic interest in Nigeria. So Nigerians, I will tell you this, the earlier you start saying no and you start joining your voice together with the voice of the free to say no to France, the better. Because I can tell you, you see all these meetings that Emmanuel Macron is having with you know who, and some of your celebrity you know who, this is where it always leads to. Strategic interests. There are still more secrets that I can't even bring out here. Several ones. I can't. Too heavy. President Abdurrahman Tiani visited Asamaka. Now, when you listen to the foreign media, it's as if this president have been hated by their people. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, he visited Halit because he's having a tour around the whole Niger Republic right now. Okay, he has visited so many places, but he first of all visited Halit. Ladies and gentlemen, his escorts were not only the security men, he was even escorted by fellow Nigerian people. Ladies and gentlemen, let's watch this video. And now his current visit was to the town of Asamaka. See, these people are worshipped by their people. These are gods among men. Take it or leave it. These presidents are the most loved. See, it's better you are loved by your people than they give you foreign citizenship somewhere, or they give you whatever benefit they are going to give you out there. The only place you are going to be safer is in the midst of your people. If the civilians can choose to escort their presidents, you already know what time it is. So let the foreign media, let them continue to tell their propagandas out there. We don't care, because it is never about what their opinion is. It's about what our opinion is. We are the one feeling the direct impact and the influence and the impact of the decision making of our leaders. We are the ones feeling it. So you can see how the people of Niger are feeling General Abdurrahman Tiani right there. And in General Abdurrahman Tiani, after this visit to Asamaka, he has some things to say to the troops that are guarding the Asamaka region, the first line of defense of the Nigerian people. Ladies and gentlemen, let us watch this video.
To understand it, the enemy did not fall from the sky. The enemy was initially introduced into our Sahelian region during the years of 2012 to 2013, and then gradually transformed with the ongoing support of sponsors who had infiltrated it into monstrous forces that are now attempting to colonize and dominate our entire Sahel area. That's what this is about. Aware of this, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali have taken their destiny into their own hands. We know that no power in the world will come and fight this battle for us. It is our historical responsibility. It is our responsibility today, and it will be our responsibility tomorrow if we want to keep intact the legacy that our worthy predecessors have passed down to us. Dear FDS, I know the task is difficult. I know that the needs are enormous. But rest assured, the state will do everything so that these needs, however great they may be, can receive support. A start of implementation, if not a comprehensive implementation, has already been achieved, so that you, who have made the ultimate sacrifices, can continue to carry out your important mission effectively. Whether it is the land component of our defense or security forces or the air component, the state will not fail. I know that you have many expectations, especially in addition to the threat that comes from enemies, there is now also the added and significant environmental threat, and in relation to the current situation, this is an important factor to consider. He is just like his sponsor, and you must never let your guard down for even a moment. A convoy is approaching your position. No matter what color or flag it displays, stay alert and remain vigilant. The enemy is treacherous, a true chameleon, capable of taking on any form. We have observed the same situation through. The enemy will undoubtedly use the very same strategies, the same forms of treachery, and the same kind of cunning to approach you and to surprise you. I truly cannot emphasize this enough, and you surely already know it, since certainly among you there are others who have already faced and experienced the kinds of situations I have just listed. I won't be long, since the journey is long, and expectations are high back there. We simply want to sincerely say thank you, congratulations, and remind you to stay vigilant. The state, the resilient people, and the wives of the defense and security forces will continue to support you. Support, even if only moral, so that you can carry out your missions with professionalism, success, and a great deal of commitment and dedication. Long live the Republic. Long live all the defense and security forces who are at the forefront of the battle, who are the shield and the pillar of our country. May Allah grant you His mercy. May He continue to protect you. May He continue to watch over you. The state will do the rest, God willing. Thank you very much.
You can see that this fight is existential. Look, everybody has the civilian mindset, but I will assure you that once you know the truth, your mind becomes weaponized against propaganda. Okay? And when a certain foreign invaders have dangerous interest, because when they have interest in your minerals, they don't come to negotiate like reasonable people. They become dangerous. They rather have their interest fulfilled, honing those resources without the people that are ethnically or, that are indigenously the owner of that place. That's what they do. So the moment you start hearing this group, yeah. And they've set up the African political structure. You see, the whole democracy thing is a crime. Okay? On its own is a crime. In Africa. It might be working elsewhere. I don't know. But in Africa, it was a structural demolition of the African integrity. Democracy was created for Africans. The African version of democracy was created to impose people on Africans. Before you vote, your leaders have been chosen. So, but it is what it is, okay? So they know what freedom is. So whatever independence you heard about, that, in the 19 something, you have independence, you are celebrating Independence Day, is actually a lie, it's fraud. This is the real independence. And it's a shame that a first set of people in Africa that are choosing to put their feet on the ground, planting their planter and saying that, look, we want our independence. We want to own our sovereignty without any foreign interferences or any external opinion. It is a shame that the giants of Africa are not the first to lead the line. It is the Sahelians. So unfortunate. So where are the giants at? The South Africa giants, the Nigeria giants. But well, the struggle continues, okay? And at the end of the day, for those of us that choose to be free, we will definitely see that moment come to pass. The French media too, okay, whose purpose is to serve the agenda of the French deep state, they have a little bit of thing to say, okay? Now we're now seeing that they're now inviting former, disgraced official of the Malian state. I'm sorry to use that language. They are using former disgraced Malian officials, people that should have been declared persona non grata in Mali. They're now bringing them to the French mainstream media that serves the interest of their deep state to cause this division and destabilization. So far, so good. They've not been able to achieve that aim, but they're just trying to, poke the bear and get reaction. Ladies and gentlemen, let's listen to what this Malian ex-official has to say. Okay?
You say that General Goita must personally speak directly to Iyad Akrali.
I already told you a year ago, Iyad Akrali is a Malian, so he has the right to express himself like all other Malians. Iyad Akrali has his place in Mali, but violence has no place in Mali, wherever it comes from. And in that regard, General Goita, who is currently, in effect, the head of state of Mali, must understand that he needs to spare not only our army, but above all our population from further suffering. And it is urgent to open the path to dialogue so that Malians can come together. And above all, not only to talk with Jan, but I think it's finally time to acknowledge that the choices that have been to act mainly by inviting mercenaries who do not know our country, who, if you'll pardon the expression, simply don't care and then go back home so that we can deal with our problems ourselves. And that's what needs to be done. So these two measures are essential. To agree to open a dialogue, not just because there are other leaders and other Malians who must take part in this national conversation, but above all, to put an end to this adventure with these Russian mercenaries who today have done more harm than good to Mali.
Now, when you listen to everything he has said, this man is telling Assimi Goita to negotiate a deal with a terrorist leader, an Al-Qaeda terrorist leader. Okay? That's what he's trying to say. For what? Now, let me show you this picture. Look at Assimi Goita right here. Look at the Malian people. Okay? This is a recent picture. I think 3 days ago. Does this number of motorcycles on the road look like there are no fuel in Mali? Look at those people. Look at the numbers, right? Look at how they love their leader. And somebody will come and tell you that Mali is in trouble. No, the foreign machineries are trying to destabilize Mali. But the Malians are fighting hard and they are strong. And you know the only reason why they are fighting hard and strong is because the Malian people are some of the most informed people on the planet. Because left to another country, the whole country would have gone down. Look at America threatening Nigeria because they wanted a certain pre-planned interest. And maybe the government was like, no, we don't want it. Nigerians were calling for a airstrike in their country. Okay? But there are some people that have chosen to fight head-on with their government. There is only one way to this. I know the Nigerian structure is still a little bit, they are not doing what they are supposed to do. But the way these controllers, these imperialists will make it look like, they will kind of strategically sign some agreements with maybe the previous regime and make it look like your government is paralyzed completely and maybe your government is like, negotiating and doing a lot of things. But this is deeper than what you know. Do you know that most of the equipment that Nigeria buys from the United States, do you know that there are some agreements that they must not deploy some of this equipment in certain locations? Are you aware? Do you know that the peace deal that Nigeria started having with these jihadists, do you know it was Western imposed? Do you know that the rehabilitation of the jihadists in Nigeria, do you know it was Western imposed? You think they don't know about it? Have you ever heard any Western media, speak against the rehabilitated Boko Haram agenda in Nigeria? Have you ever heard any of their mainstream media say, oh, repentant Boko Haram is a crime against? No, you've never. It is because they were the one that covertly imposed it. So the leaders signed so many they signed so many agreements that people don't know about. They don't have to know. So the whole structure of democracy on its own is a big problem. See, look, if you choose democracy, it's very difficult for you to go forward. And anybody that wants to get you forward, they use their machineries, which are these different jihadist groups that you think they are fighting for Islam. It has nothing to do with Islam. It only has everything to do with the interest of these people. Let's watch the video of this same man, this Coulibaly, that I've just spoken.
Mali's Defense Minister Timen Hubert Coulibaly was fired on Saturday, a day after jihadists briefly took control of the Boni town in the country's center. Before the government army managed to regain control of the town, the attackers, who are suspected of belonging to the Ansar-Din group, burnt public buildings and took an elected local official hostage before withdrawing after a few hours. A statement released by the government stated Coulibaly's post had been revoked after militants stepped up attacks in the country's center in recent months, targeting government and military installations. Former Minister for Territorial Administration Abdullahi Adrisa Maega will fill in his shoes. The raid by the jihadists comes hot on the heels of July the 9th attacks on a military base in the town of Nampala, in which 17 soldiers were killed and 6 were reported to have been missing.
Now look at him. Under his watch, the jihadists, and you can see a lot of, under his watch, right? He failed and he was dismissed. He failed completely. Then he was dismissed. And now you can see they're trying to bring him back again. If al-Shara, the president of Syria, can hold 2 human, you know what I'm talking about? The president of Syria. The picture is everywhere. And they can clean up his beds and everything and start inviting him to the White House, and he started making tours to see some of this so-called, facadic, whatever they call it. And you start seeing them embracing him. I'm telling you, even when they praise you, you don't even have to listen to whatever they say. because they don't have the moral justification to tell you anything. You can see that they are bringing this one now to come and say whatever he thinks he has in his core. But, you know, when people are informed, you know, the information warfare can no longer work again. Because majority, I'm telling you at this point that 90% of the Malian people, they know what's up. They know what time it is. So whatever France wants to do now, look, we're at the dying minutes of France in the Sahel. But they won't give up. You know the story. They won't give up. So the more they continue to poke us, the more we must continue to respond. And we don't just have to respond. We have to respond with facts. Constructive argument. And because they don't want to give up, they will continue to throw propagandas out there. And at the end of the propaganda, they will try to make you see why you need them. But unfortunately, Africans don't need these people. But you know why they don't want to give up? Because they wouldn't even be where they are without us. Ladies and gentlemen, let's watch this clip from a French top military brass that has some things to say about Africa generally. Let's listen to this video.
Africa is a continent marked by instability. Chronic instability. It is also a continent struck by the rise of armed terrorist groups in 2024. Africa is where there have been the most terrorist attacks and the highest number of civilian casualties from terrorist attacks. It is also a continent affected by climate change and endowed with rare and therefore coveted minerals. I observe that wars over access to resources are increasing the instability that already exists. France, of course, has a special position in Africa, particularly in West Africa, historically, and for this reason it has been directly targeted. But nevertheless, it is obviously important to maintain a real level of influence and to preserve the ability to defend our interests. In fact, my very clear feeling is that Africa still needs France, and often expresses this, and that France cannot lose interest in Africa, because there are obviously interests at stake, but also important issues.
You can see how he handled it, but the billion-dollar question is, I can't speak for you. Would you want the French in your country? That is the billion-dollar question. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy 72 Andre signing out. Enough said. But before I go, you know, the only way I get peace is when I'm able to bring this information out to you. I can't sleep every day until I make sure that as these facts come in, we continue to unpack. So thank you for watching, and God bless you. A luta continua, Victoria Asante.